Imagine you are a 15-year-old royal daughter in ancient Persia, dressed in fine silks and gold, yet shaking not from excitement, but from a deep fear that reaches your core. This was not a happy occasion, but a life sentence. The man you would meet was unknown to you, a ruler from a faraway realm, and your future was the price paid in a deal made without your consent. For royal girls in ancient times, the wedding ceremony was not about romance. It represented the complete loss of personal freedom, hidden behind luxury and wealth. What you will discover challenges every romantic story about royal unions and reveals the precise system of control that overwhelmed young women. The anxiety these princesses experienced went much deeper than typical worries. It was the shocking understanding that they had no control over their own lives. Their true self was about to disappear, replaced simply by the role of wife and bargaining chip. From that day on, they were property of the empire, not individuals with their own will. Her existence was a territory she could not command. To understand this fear, you must see the harsh truth of royal marriage. These were not love matches, but strategic arrangements for power and influence. When a princess reached the right age, sometimes only 12 or 13, she was no longer considered a child. She became a diplomatic tool. Her worth was calculated in soldiers gained and lands acquired. The matching process was humiliating. Older rulers, competitive aristocrats, princes from enemy lands, her future spouse was selected for a single purpose: his value to the Persian throne. Her personal hopes, concerns, or wishes did not matter. Her path was set as firmly as the changing seasons. She learned from her earliest years that her destiny was tied to the kingdom's needs. The man awaiting her would view her as an object to be won, a sign of his influence, a means to continue his family line. Training for this role started long before. A Persian princess received extensive schooling, but not for her own benefit. She mastered other tongues to speak with her future people, not for knowledge. She learned about other cultures to better adjust to her husband's nation, not for understanding. Each class taught the same lesson: you are a link, a device, a human agreement. She gained new languages only to lose her own voice. In the weeks leading to the wedding, the stress intensified. Palace staff and foreign delegates watched her constantly. Was her posture perfect? Was she fit for bearing children? Would she make Persia look good? She was evaluated like a prized animal. The wedding ritual served as a prolonged farewell to her own identity. The dye patterning her skin, the formal appearances where she was shown like a winning item, and the sacred rites insisting on her obedience, each tradition removed another piece of who she was. And observing everything were the judging stares of her new husband's advisors. Their notes would shape her treatment in a strange country. Their acceptance was essential for her well-being. The final evening brought its own particular pain. It was her last night as the person she knew in her childhood home. These princesses knew that marriage meant being sent away forever. They would probably never again see their relatives. They would spend their remaining years surrounded by those who viewed them as an immigrant, a political requirement, an outsider. They began mourning their lost life while still living it. But the heaviest burden was knowing she could not make a mistake. If she disappointed her husband, if she did not have a son, if she failed to understand the tricky court politics, the results would be disastrous. Partnerships could break, nations could battle, many lives could be lost. Her individual shortcomings would create international turmoil. The wedding night was the ultimate change, from royal lady to owned property. The small freedom she once enjoyed disappeared when she entered her rooms. Her future, her choices, her very name now belonged to a man who might be generous or harsh, or completely unaware of the real person behind the royal title. She was an emblem of his goals, an instrument for his progress. This practice created a difficult contradiction. These women enjoyed extreme wealth, yet had fewer rights than the simplest village girl who might influence her own match. Their splendid homes were exquisitely decorated cells. The next morning offered no comfort, only fresh reasons for concern. She woke not as a cherished partner, but a foreign resource in enemy lands. Her new routine involved continuous watching. Helpers saw to all her needs and repeated all her conversations. Consultors studied her every action. She lacked privacy and was constantly at risk. The traditions continued, with official ceremonies to approve the marriage. Her situation was handled as government paperwork, needing verification by doctors and officials. It was a communal inspection presented as custom. The need to have children was urgent and constant. Each month without a pregnancy caused gossip and increased doubts about this political expense. Star readers, doctors, and holy men all worked on ensuring she could have children. Her importance was directly connected to her capacity to become a mother. Could she provide a successor? The loneliness was a quiet suffering. Encircled by different speech, unusual dishes, and unfamiliar faiths, she existed in continuous foreignness. Even the joy of a message from her family was tainted. Every letter was reviewed by guards, each mention of sadness a possible sign of unfaithfulness. She could not express her grief without endangering the compact she was born to fulfill. Having a child, particularly a boy, brought brief satisfaction, but also new risks. Her son would become a token in contests grander than her marriage. If she had a girl, she felt sorrow knowing her daughter was fated for the same journey, repeating generations of royal negotiations. Her whole life was a delicate balance above serious political outcomes. If trouble started between her native land and her husband's domain, she confronted a terrible decision: blood relatives or sworn commitment. Both paths could be called betrayal. The need to show pleasure was enormous. Even the most sorrowful women had to pretend to be happy, their false grins concealing deep sadness. As she grew older, her unstable situation grew more threatening. When she could no longer have children, her main political purpose ended. She could be dismissed, exchanged for a younger bride with more current political ties. The loss of important people, her parent or her spouse, could make her entirely unnecessary, a lingering symbol of a finished deal. Her protection always relied on being needed by others. History confirms the reality of this structure. Separate areas in royal homes, lovely but controlled, housed these foreign brides. They were luxurious enclosures. Government documents list them as possessions, monitoring their alliances and their childbearing history. They were objects in a royal collection. To survive, these women became brilliant performers, playing a part so thoroughly they occasionally lost their true selves. They showed faithfulness while feeling deserted, praised a partnership that had broken them. Their only comfort was found in private. Hidden circles with other sent-away royal women let them speak honestly without observers. Secret speech, concealed signs, these private groups were their sole source of real friendship. Many had to leave behind their family religion, a spiritual break that added to their physical and mental distress. They had to pray to unfamiliar deities and bring up their children in ways that seemed to deny their heritage. In the most challenging situations, some royal families married within close relations. Religious reasons could not remove the deep unease of joining with a man who should have been their guardian. The family connection itself became a cause of great inner struggle. From her marriage payment to her final arrangements, every part of her life was weighed like a commercial exchange.
Palace accounts followed her material worth with exact detail, overlooking the person involved. The apprehension that filled a Persian princess before her wedding was not fear of something new. It was the horror of knowing what was coming. She understood precisely what her future held, the closing of her previous life. Her marriage ceremony was a goodbye, masked as a welcome. Behind the luxury and beauty stood a structure that made daughters into political items and mothers into valued possessions. Their experience reminds us that those who appear most fortunate often paid the highest price. If this exploration of the hidden costs behind ancient authority spoke to you, please support our mission by liking this video and subscribing to Shadow of History